made to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn!
Were you scared of that?
Ah.
No? Not at all, huh?
Nope. I'm from Brooklyn.
Nope.
For sure.
Okay, guys, Frank Style, just a guy from Brooklyn, and I'm here to bring you the top 25 arcade games. So, for those of you that didn't grow up in the 80s, going to an arcade and playing these games was like everything to us kids. We used to get in our dirt bikes, ride over, find the nearest arcade, play, or the bigger arcades, like the big jumbo ones that had every single game. Whatever, our parents would drop us off, give us a shitload of quarters, and we would just go crazy in those things. I have so many great memories. Don't want to waste any more time. My lone rule is this is a favorites list, not a best list. So the best way you can get back to me about my list is to show me yours in the comments section. Coming in at honorable mention number 1 is Kick, also known as Kick Man, came out in 1981. You control a clown on a unicycle. There are balloons above. They come down. Sometimes you pop them. Sometimes you catch them. The interesting thing is Pac-Man is in this game, and he would sometimes help you throughout the game and get you extra points. Obviously, if you have fear of clowns, this is not the game for you. And to be honest, this is one of those games in the arcades that was often ignored. Everybody was on lines to play the more popular games. Sometimes I would just get frustrated, go over and play a couple of rounds of Kick until the line subsided. Honorable mention number 2 is Dig Dug. Came out in 1982. Players control Dig Dug to dig tunnels and defeat enemies by inflating them with a harpoon until they pop or dropping rocks on them. This was a very, very popular game that I absolutely sucked in. The characters were really cute. It had a really cute kind of music to it. People loved this game. I just was frustrated by it, so I did not play the game much. Coming in at number 25 is Galaga. Came out in 1981. A classic fixed shooter arcade game and sequel to the game Galaxian, where players pilot a spaceship to destroy alien invaders, featuring new mechanics like tractor beams to capture and combine ships for dual firepower and challenging stages. There was a Galaga nearby my school, so I used to get out of school and run to it. The whole thing was to get that double ship, and with that double ship, you could get further in the game. Coming in at number 24 is Budweiser Tapper, came out in 1983. Players act as a bartender, serving drinks to customers on 4 different bars, collecting empty mugs and earning tips before customers get angry and leave. Originally sponsored by Budweiser, it was later changed to Root Beer Tapper to avoid marketing beer to children. I'm pretty sure I saw this game first in a bar, so it was kind of put in like more adult spots because it was a Budweiser game. But eventually, people kind of figured it out. This is probably not a good idea to have this great game be all about beer. As an adult now, thumbs up, baby. Coming in at number 23 is Ghosts and Goblins. Came out in 1985. A notoriously difficult arcade platformer where players control the knight King Arthur to rescue Princess Prin from the demon king Astaroth. It requires players to navigate hordes of undead enemies. You get hit and Arthur loses his armor, leaving him in his boxers, which is pretty funny. This game was crazy hard, and yet my dumbass kept going in there popping quarters to keep playing, thinking I was going to get very, very far in the game, and I never did. Coming in at number 22 is Mappy, came out in 1983. You play a police mouse who collects stolen items while being chased by a criminal cat and his kittens in a building full of trampolines. If you jumped on a trampoline more than a few times, it would break, And it was those trampoline mechanics that made the game unique and fun. There were also doors that when certain ones were opened, it released the tractor beam from the video game Galaga, complete with sound effects, to repel the cats. This is actually one of those games that I was good at. I used to get through about 2 or 3 levels, and I was always having fun with it. Coming in at number 21 is Sinistar. Came out in 1982. You control a ship that mines asteroids to create bombs to destroy the final boss, Sinistar, while fending off enemy ships. Meanwhile, those same ships were building Sinistar off screen. Once he was built, you knew. Beware, I live. He also used to roar at you when he would come at you, and he was also extremely intimidating. To be fair, I used to play this game a lot, but I only beat Sinistar once. That's how hard this game was. But it was hella fun to try and worth every quarter I put into it. Coming in at number 20 is Journey. Came out in 1983. Based on the popular rock band and notable for using digitized photos of the band members' heads on cartoon bodies. You guide the 5 band members through 5 different planets to retrieve their stolen instruments, with each planet bringing its own game. And the entire game featured Journey's music. The game was really fun because you had 5 games in one game. If you beat one, you would move on to another one, which you got to choose. It is said if you got all 5 instruments, you would play a bouncer in a Journey concert where Don't Stop Believin' is played, but I've never seen anybody reach that goal. I definitely never did. Regardless, the game was crazy fun. Coming in at number 19 is Track and Field. Came out in 1983. A classic sports video game known for its simple but addictive gameplay that revolves rapidly pressing the run button and timing the action button to compete in events like the 100-meter dash, long jump, and javelin throw. 2 people could play and compete against one another. I'm not gonna lie, this was a huge button masher. You had to slam your fingers on the button like a crazy person, and this would often cripple your fingers by the end of the game. Kids would always make the mistake of slamming their fingers on that run button, but then not hitting that action button at the right time. It was all about that kind of strategy and hand-eye coordination. Coming in at number 18 is Joust. Came out in 1982. You control knights flying ostriches and storks, flapping to fly and joust enemies off platforms with lances. You collect eggs before they hatch into new enemies, and you could play 2 people in cooperative gameplay. The higher rider always would win the joust, so you had to once again hit that freaking flap button as hard as you could. Having 2 people play this game at the same time was everything, and just the look of the game was very like dark and almost Dungeons and Dragons-y. Coming in at number 17 is Ring King, also known as King of Boxer, came out in 1985. Notable for its side-scrolling perspective, special spinning attacks, and stamina management, where players fight opponents to become champion, improving their boxer stats with power points earned from wins. Just like the previous few games I mentioned, you could probably button mash and get past a few opponents. But once you start fighting better fighters, that's not going to work here. You need to use other tactics, you need to do some defense, you need to use more spin attacks. It's definitely heavy on the strategy. I found it odd that all the boxers had like afros, big afros. Like, who made this game? Was this like a tribute to Rocky 3 where everybody had big hair? Coming in at number 16 is Time Pilot. Came out in 1982. A multi-directional shooter where players pilot a jet through different historical eras, fighting enemies like biplanes, World War II fighters, and even UFOs, with each level presenting a different time period. It's a shooter, it has time travel, and you can go anywhere you want in any direction. There are no borders, You have to kill all your enemies, and then you move on to the next level. And this is one of the few video games that I was actually really good at. I got through every stage, and that is saying something. Coming in at number 15 is Mario Brothers. Came out in 1983. The arcade platform game that introduced Mario and Luigi as twin plumbers fighting creatures from the sewers, marking the first time to feature Mario in the title and introducing key elements like pipes, power blocks, and a two-player mode. It was a major spin-off from Donkey Kong and the precursor to the Super Mario series. When you walked up to this cabinet, you didn't think much. There really wasn't much there, just a couple of platforms, and you either had Mario, or if you played with another person, you'd have Luigi and Mario. But playing the game was crazy fun. There were different levels. You had like ice creatures that would freeze up the platforms, making them slippery. There were all types of challenges. A lot of people don't know this game exists. They think that Super Mario Brothers is the first game in the series. Nah, this is the one. Coming in at number 14 is Star Wars Arcade. Came out in 1983. A classic first-person vector graphics rail shooter that simulates the Death Star assault from the original film. You pilot an X-Wing through 3 phases: TIE fighter combat, flying over the Death Star's surface, and the famous trench run from the movie. I love the vector look of it, and it often came in a huge cabinet which you would sit in, giving you like that immersive experience. Hey, you're young, you sit in this thing, you think you're Luke Skywalker and you're trying to defeat the Empire. It was just something special. Coming in at number 13 is Popeye. Came out in 1982. Players control Popeye to rescue Olive Oyl by collecting items like hearts, musical notes, and letters that spell the word help, while avoiding enemies like Brutus and the Sea Hag. Using a joystick and the punch button, you navigate through 3 screens and temporarily gaining invincibility by eating spinach to defeat Brutus whenever you had to. To have a game in the early 80s that actually looked like the cartoon that it was representing was everything. And it had everything from those cartoons. So when you played this game, you felt like you were in that Popeye world. Coming in at number 12 is 1942, which came out in 1984. A vertical scrolling World War II fighter plane shooter with tons of power-ups and boss ships to defeat. What made this game special was the loop-de-loop dodge that you could do throughout the game. There were often times where you were just assaulted by a ton of shots coming your way. You hit that loop-de-loop and you're out of danger. And it made the game so fun. There were tons of shooters, but for some reason, this is the one that I would get deep into. Coming in at number 11 is Arkanoid. Came out in 1986. It evolved the breakout formula with power-ups, new brick types, and enemies, where players control a paddle-like ship to destroy formations of blocks. You had to clear all the blocks to advance using power-ups like a longer paddle, added cannons, or multiple balls. What can I say? Sometimes the simplest games are the best games. Kind of like a Tetris type situation. I could not get enough of it. If it's in front of me, I'm probably going to play it. And kicking off my top 10 at number 10 is Kung Fu Master. Came out in 1984. Considered the first side-scrolling beat-em up where you control Thomas to rescue his girlfriend Sylvia by fighting 5 floors of enemies, each ending with a boss. This is considered the granddaddy of that side-scrolling beat-em up. You got games like Final Fight and Double Dragon. Love all those types of games, and this is the one that started it all. I also believe that this game was inspired heavily by Bruce Lee's last movie, Game of Death, which he did not finish. He is not in the full movie, but he is in those floors where he had to go through each floor to fight an enemy, and one of those enemies just happened to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Coming in at number 9 is Elevator Action, came out in 1983. You play a secret agent who infiltrates a 30-story building, collecting secret documents while using elevators and escalators to navigate and defeat enemy agents. You can shoot them, crush them with elevators, all while trying to reach a getaway car on the first floor. This game was really fun, and once again, one of those games I was pretty good at. You were able to shoot people, hide indoors, jump on elevators. It had a lot of things going for it. Coming in at number 8 is Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, came out in 80 and 82 respectively. A classic maze arcade game where players navigate Pac-Man through a maze, eating all the dots while avoiding 4 ghosts. Eating large power pellets temporarily turn the ghosts blue, allowing Pac-Man to eat them for bonus points. It became a global phenomenon. Pac-Man was freaking everywhere. There were cartoons. There were all types of Pac-Man. They had a Pac-Man song. 2 years later, Miss Pac-Man, the sequel, known for its faster gameplay, new mazes, and moving bonus fruits, would have the same effect. Although I never saw it happen, word on the street was you could beat the game, but not that the game had an ending. You could just play the game until you reached the final amount of points, and then the game would kind of flip or turn upside down, is what the way they explained it to me. But I was okay in Pac-Man, but Miss Pac-Man, that was my jam. I was really good at that. Used to reach the junior Pac-Man level on the regular. I don't know, it was just something that I was good at. Coming in at number 7 is Donkey Kong. Came out in 1981. A landmark arcade game where the hero Jumpman, later changed to Mario, must rescue his girlfriend Pauline from the giant ape Donkey Kong by climbing construction girders, avoiding obstacles like barrels, and using a hammer to smash enemies. This game was extremely addictive. It was just something that came out and there was nothing else like it. My mother used to take me to a local bar in Park Slope known as Snooki's, which doesn't exist anymore. You could eat a nice steak. Their steak was really good. But for me, it wasn't about the steak. They had Donkey Kong there in one of those flat sit down versions of the game. Ma, give me some quarters. I need to go play this. And it was just like the biggest treat during the week to go there, eat some good food, and play Donkey Kong. Coming in at number 6 is Donkey Kong Jr. Came out in 1982. The direct sequel, you control Donkey Kong Jr. to rescue his father Donkey Kong from Mario, who has imprisoned him. The gameplay revolves around climbing vines and platforms, using cranes, and avoiding enemies like Slapjaws and Sparks to collect keys to unlock Donkey Kong's cage. It's notable that this is the only game where Mario is the villain. DK Jr. was so big because it followed up Donkey Kong, and it was just as fun, if not more fun. It had a different way to play it, and because they had the hero and villain kind of flipped, it was that much better. Coming in at number 5 is Alien Syndrome. Came out in 1987. A classic Sega arcade run and gun game where two players, Rick and Mary, rescue hostages from aliens in a sci-fi horror setting, featuring top-down shooting, power-ups like flamethrowers, and of course a time limit where the entire place explodes if you don't get all the hostages out. I don't know how they were able to rip off the movie Aliens like this. They even had the word alien in the title. I was such a huge fan of the movie Aliens that once I saw the game, saw people playing it, I had to play it. I was addicted to it. And to be honest, I wasn't even that good at it. But it was Aliens and it was fantastic. Was it a ripoff? Sure. Who cares? Once you start playing, you can't play around. You are on the clock, bitch. Coming in at number 4 is Gauntlet. Came out in 1985. A landmark arcade dungeon crawler known for its 4-player cooperative gameplay and top-down perspective. Players choose from 4 classes: Warrior, Valkyrie, Wizard, and Elf to navigate endless dungeons, fighting monsters, collecting treasure, and managing continuously depleting health, which often required inserting tons of quarters to restore. Shout out to my man Sean Bailey. I haven't seen him since high school, but me and Sean and a few other guys were cut out of school those last few periods. Hop on the B train, take it all the way down to Coney Island. There was a big arcade with Gauntlet right in the middle of it, and we would blow tons of money on this game. Coming in at number 3 is Yai Air Kung Fu, came out in 1985. You control a fighter named Oolong. Isn't that the name of a tea? Anyway, you control Oolong to defeat 11 martial arts masters, each with unique fighting styles and weapons, to avenge his father. It established key fighting game mechanics like a variety of moves with punch kick combinations, distinct enemy patterns, and a life bar. This game was obviously heavily influenced on the Shaw Brothers Kung Fu classics that I grew up watching. Each fighter that you fought had a different challenge for you, especially with weapons, so you had to figure a way to defeat each and one of these fighters. I got pretty deep into the game. I never defeated it, but I love this game. This is kind of one of the granddaddies of the fighting game. And my runner up at number 2 is Punch Out and Super Punch Out, which both came out in 1984. A classic boxing arcade game from an almost first person perspective. It introduced iconic fighters like Glass Joe, Ball Bull, and Mr. Sandman. It also had a knockout button, which was very unique. The sequel, Super Punch Out, which I guess came out at the tail end of 84, introduced new characters like Bear Hugger and Super Macho Man. They even had like a Bruce Lee character, which at one point would leap from each turnbuckle and then do a roundhouse kick, which would knock your ass out. Super Punch Out also added a crucial ducking mechanic to make the game even more strategic. Yes, these are the granddaddies to Mike Tyson's Punch Out, but to be honest, Mike Tyson's Punch Out didn't look as good as these games did. And my number 1 80s arcade game is Dragon's Lair. It came out in 1983. A legendary arcade game designed by Don Bluth and Rick Dyer. Famous for its feature film quality animation, it was the first Laserdisc video game. Rather than controlling a sprite, players essentially guided a cartoon character, Dirk the Daring, through a series of quick-timed events to rescue Princess Daphne from the dragon in a creepy old castle. Bluth, who just happens to be my favorite artist, was a Disney artist who eventually left Disney and started his own company. He's famous for feature films like The Secret of Nim and An American Tail. If you watch the show Stranger Things, they did have an episode where all the kids were playing Dragon's Lair, and that's kind of the point. In the 80s, that was what it was all about. I used to just get tons of money from my mother and play Dragon's Lair, or when I didn't have any money, I would watch other people play Dragon's Lair because it was like watching a cartoon movie.
Please save me! The cage is locked with a key. The dragon keeps it around his neck. To slay the dragon, use the magic sword.
I was in love with Princess Daphne. I dreamed of defeating the dragon, putting Daphne on the back of my dirt bike, and taking her home. Yeah, I was a dumb kid and I did that. I don't know. I think it was that Bluth drew her. She was kind of very sexy. Like, I also recently traveled to Pittsburgh where I got to meet Don Bluth and got an autograph, got to talk to him. This was somebody that I grew up following, and I just loved his artwork. From the city that never sleeps, peace, baby.
How we can be us just for one day.